as I promised on one of my other posts on Facebook, I was going to come and read over the executive order, Islam, by the governor, Brian Kemp. I'm going to make it quick as possible, and hopefully it'll be enlightening to the listener. The reason of me using this or reading this is because you have policy enforcers who will use this time to capitalize for their own reason. And so it's just to enlighten and to bring consciousness to the listeners. So let's read it and let's see what the executive order says versus hearsay. Let's clear it up here and now so we can move forward. The State of Georgia Executive Order. The executive order to ensure a safe and healthy Georgia. It says, whereas on March 14th, 2020, due to the impact of COVID-19 on the state of Georgia, I issue executive order number 3.14.20.01, declaring a public health state of emergency in Georgia. And whereas the Georgia General Assembly, what's the General Assembly, you all? That's the House and the Senate of each state has a General Assembly. Concurred with the executive order. So meaning the reason that we have to do this is because the General Assembly are the makers of the law per state. So it's not just Kemp just got on the screen and just said it, and it was just him alone that issued the authority. It's the balance of power. And the General Assembly also played a role in this legislation for the public. So let's continue. The Georgia General Assembly occurred with the executive order March 14th, 2020, by joint resolution on March 16th of 2020, and the number of COVID-19 cases in Georgia continues to rise, and the Georgia Department of Public Health has determined that COVID-19 is spreading throughout communities, requiring the implementations of certain restrictions to limit the spread. It don't say all restrictions. It says certain restrictions, okay? The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has determined that other adults, people of any age who have serious underlying medical conditions, and certain other people groups may be at higher risk for more serious complications from COVID-19. And whereas, this is the code section in Georgia, you can pull it up. Code section 38-3-51C4 vests the governor with the power to perform and exercise such other function, powers, and duties as may be deemed necessary to promote and secure the safety and protection of the civilian population. What is that? What is that saying to be useful with it? It's saying that this document was created from the Constitution, you all. So this is a brief. We're just talking about the executive order. I'm not talking about other things. But know that this document was birthed out of the Constitution, okay? It just told you. Let's read it again so we'll see. It says, and duties as may be deemed necessary to promote and secure the safety and protection of the civilian population. Look at the preamble and you'll see if it's true or not. Let's move forward. Another thing, look up civilian in the etymologic dictionary. A civilian is a person who's a master of law. Okay? Are you a civilian? Code section 38-3-51D1 vests the governor with the power to suspend any regulatory statute. Any regulatory statute. It does not say he can suspend law. Okay? It does not say that. It says that he can suspend any statute. And let's clear it up. Let's clear it up. You have the supreme law of the land, and you have statutes and codes which is law to the person it applies to. Let's break it up. Let's clear it up. If you work at a job and you sign a contract to be part of that job, and part of that job says no cell phones, that is law for you while you're on that job. A baby can understand this. Let's make this simple, okay? So it says the governor with power to suspend any regulatory statute prescribing the procedures for conduct of state businesses. It's not talking about private people. It's not. I'm not saying it. This is the information. It says the governor with the power to suspend any regulatory statute prescribing the procedures for the conduct of businesses. That's what it says. Or the orders of businesses, or the rules, or the regulations of any state agency, if strict compliance with any statute, order, rule, or regulation would in any way prevent, hinder, or delay necessary action in coping with the emergency or disaster. Any statute and code, it's not talking about your birthrights, okay? You have to know the difference. Code section 31-2A-4 and 31-12-4 vest the Department of Public Health with the power to segregate and isolate certain individuals with certain communicable diseases or conditions when said individual's exposure to the general population is likely to endanger the health of others. And whereas, in consultation with the governor's coronavirus task force and health and emergency preparedness officials, I have determined that the following temporary actions are necessary and appropriate to protect the health, safety, and welfare. That's the Constitution. So the statutes and any executive order should be in line with the Constitution, which this is. Not color of law, what the policy enforcers are verbally saying. You have to read the executive order for yourself to know what applies to you and your loved ones so that you're not mistreated. Of course, you want to prevent the virus, just for the sake of, for everybody's mind, you want to take the precautions to prevent the spread for everyone. That's not the argument here. And if you heard that, that is your problem. It's not mine. What I'm saying to you is we need to take our due diligence, prevent all measures of spreading it. But we also need to understand what it is and what it is not. We need to boost our immune systems anyway, not just because of the virus. Islam, in consultation with the governor's coronavirus task force and health and emergency preparedness officials, I have determined that the following temporary actions are necessary and appropriate to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Georgia's residents and visitors. So this is to protect residents, Georgia's residents. So we'll look up, let's do it now. We're going to look up what residents means and not what you think. Those are problems. We can't always live based off what we think. It just has to be black and white and we move forward. So let's see what residents means. I'm reading from the book. Residence means living in a particular locality. So we got to define locality, you all, because if not, you're thinking something. So it says residence means living in a particular locality, but domicile means living in that particular locality with intent to make it a fixed and permanent home. Residence simply requires bodily presence as an inhabitant in a given place, a place, not a home. It does not say home, but a given place. It could be a building, it could be a place of business, etc. Your home could be a residence looked at as a business because it's a place, and that's what you're agreeing to if you have a residence. I want you all to see the point. Residence simply requires body presence as an inhabitant in a given place, while domicile requires bodily presence in that place and also an intent to make it one's domicile. So domicile and residence, two different things. Let's see what locality means. Let's see. Thought I had the page. All right. Locality. Hope you can see it. A definite region in any part of space. I want y'all to look at the words and you can take it for what it's worth. Look at the words they're using versus domicile. You look up domicile and you'll see what domicile is, and you'll see that they've tricked you and you don't even have a residence. Okay. A definite region in any part of space, geographical position, place, vicinity, neighborhood, community. What is it references? It says, see also this word, situs. The definition of locality is telling you to go look at this word, okay? So let's go look at that word, situs. A locality is also a situs. Let's see here. All right, situs. Hope you all can see. Situs is Latin. It's a situation, a location. So a residence is indicating that it's a situation, a location, e.g. a location or place. Remember it talked about a place of crime or business. So if you have a residence, you're at a place of crime or business, okay? I'll read the rest. Site, position, the place where a residence is a thing, where a thing is considered. For example, with reference to jurisdiction over it, a residence, you see, it's talking about jurisdiction, you all, or the right to power to tax it. If you have a residence, you're subject to taxation. You see, because it's business, it's public. Situs or of property for tax purposes is determined by whether the taxing state has sufficient contact with the personal property sought to be taxed to justify in fairness the particular tax. Generally, personal property has its taxable situs, and that state where owner of is domicile. Allah have mercy. It just showed you. You can have domicile in a location and have multiple residents. But if you have no domicile, you're under the jurisdiction of businesses and public stuff and not private because you don't have a domicile. Situs of a trust means place of performance of active duties of trustee. So a residence is commercial activity. Anytime you see the word residence in any legislation, you're dealing with commercial activity. Let's continue. Now, therefore, pursuant to aforementioned Georgia law and the authority vested in me as governor of the state of Georgia, is hereby ordered all residents. Do you see? It's not that Kemp was not saying what he was saying. He said what he said. It's the fact that you have other people that's going to manipulate it for their benefit. We want to prevent corona. That's not the argument. Okay? The argument is bringing a consciousness to the collective people so that we protect our rights on all levels. We're not waging war against Brian Kemp. He said what he said. You just have to know the meaning. Okay? All residents and visitors of the state of Georgia shall practice social distancing and sanction in accordance with this order and guidelines published by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. It is further ordered that no business, establishment, corporation, nonprofit, corporation, at some point we got to be intelligent. Residence, tax, business, a thing, a place. Now he's referencing back to businesses, establishment, corporations, nonprofit corporations, organization, or county or municipal government shall allow more than 10 persons to be gathered at a single location. It's not talking about private citizens. But he's going to say that, not me. Okay? No business establishment, corporation, nonprofit corporation, organization, or county or municipal government shall allow more than 10 persons to be gathered at a single location if such gathering requires persons to be or to stand. Let me say that again. It says no business, establishment, corporation, nonprofit corporation, organization, or county or municipal government shall allow more than 10 persons to be gathered at a single location. Now, if such gathering requires persons to stand or to be seated with 6 feet of any other person. So you can't be in groups of 10 unless you are spaced 6 feet apart and taking the right precautions for state businesses. Look at the next part. And I'm going to end it here. I'm going to read the next one. I'm going to read the next couple ones, and I'm not going to read the whole thing because you ought to see that you have something you need to do, and that's to pick up books and begin to read, because what you hear and what's written may be contrary, and what's written may benefit you more than what's being verbally said. Islam. It says this provision, this order, this executive order shall not, apply to cohabiting persons outside of their homes, family units, or roommates residing together in private homes. A private home is not a residence, you all. A private home is not a residence, you all. Okay? This, as used in this order, the term single location shall be interpreted to mean a space, a residence, where all persons gathered cannot maintain at least 6 feet of distance between themselves and any other person. It says the term single location shall not include private residences. So they just cleared it up. They letting you know residence is something commercial. A private residence is taking it out of the jurisdiction of public. It's a private situation. So if you have a residence and you don't understand words and you don't know that you should have a domicile, then you may be raped financially through color of authority, color of law, through those people that are supposed to be forcing it. But they're doing it for their benefit, to send their babies to school, to get, whatever benefits they're getting. You're suffering due to lack of knowledge. So stay clean. Drink warm water in the mornings. Tea, if you have some tea. Look up sea moss, as it is an immune booster. And it holds about 92 minerals out of 102 that the body needs. So sea moss, the reason that I say sea moss is a cure for the corona, basically, is because the corona is known to basically attack people that has a weak immune system. A lot of people that get sick have preconditions, like it's stated in the order. So the preconditions are due to a weak immune system. So if you boost your immune system, other things won't apply to you. Okay? Even the Bible will tell you this. So let's begin to move forward as a collective people, and not looking for debates, but just taking it for what it's worth, sharing it with our family members. Also, look up aloe vera. Aloe vera is a good mucus remover, therefore helping the immune system as well. And it has other things, and that wasn't what this live or this YouTube post was about. So I hope that this was helpful. I'll attach what Kemp said, part of this YouTube video. He's clearly in harmony with the Constitution, but you have other people who are not. Okay? And it's not the government's position to tell you your position to government. They're just to do their job in their fiduciary capacity as trustees for the people. And it's up to you to interpret it. So anything you want to post in the comments specifically with information pertaining to what's being stated, feel free. And traverse safely. Always live in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. That's the meaning of that national flag you see in my rear. So stay safe, stay clean, stay corona free. Islam.
I will be issuing an executive order requiring the Department of Public Health to require certain individuals with an increased risk of complications from COVID-19 to isolate, quarantine, or shelter in place. At a minimum, this order for isolation, quarantine, or shelter in place covers those who are living in long-term care facilities, have chronic lung disease, are undergoing cancer treatment, have a positive COVID-19 test, are suspected to have a COVID-19 because of their symptoms and exposure, or have been exposed to someone who has COVID-19. The Department of Public Health will promulgate rules and regulations to implement this order and define how these individuals can access essential services, travel, and receive visitors if there's an end-of-life circumstance. This order will also close all bars and nightclubs, and it will ban all gatherings of 10 or more people unless you can maintain 6 feet between people at all times. The Department of Public Health will the Department of Public Health will be empowered to close any business or establishment, nonprofit, or organization for noncompliance. These measures were developed using guidance from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the Georgia Department of Public Health. This order will go in effect at 12